Welcome back, everyone. I hope you guys had a wonderful breakfast. And as promised, we are back with another live interview. As I said, we're going to have a lot of expert insights. And next to me, I have my good friend, Ryan Matteson. How are you, Ryan? Having a good day?
Well. Everything's going great so far.
Oh,
Off to a great
that's
start.
perfect. Okay, well, I have a lot of questions for you. So let's start with obviously a basic one. You work at the DX Hub at Cal Poly. Can you tell our viewers a little bit more about what that means and what do you do?
Yeah, so DX Hub stands for Digital Transformation Hub, and I have the best job in the world, I think, that I could have, which is we take problems from the public sector. This might be government, cities, public health organizations that have a problem that data could solve and technology could solve.
Okay.
And they bring them to us, and I get to work with students and faculty to build a prototype solution. And in the last year and a half, most of these have been AI-centric solutions. So we're doing cutting-edge work with students and AI and data to solve problems for organizations that probably don't have a really deep technical bench, right? We're giving them a solution they couldn't build otherwise, and we're helping them get a foot into the new world of AI.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned AI, Ryan, because if you don't know, Cal Poly has, and a bunch of other colleges have actually started to implement AI into their teaching. Can you tell us a little bit on where you think you might see that going in the future?
Oh, that we could take the whole time just talking about that, I guess. But there is definitely a number of big initiatives right now. There's so much interest in AI,
right?
And in the Cal State University system, of which Cal Poly is a part, there's a big initiative right now. So we're going to be hosting a summer camp in July for college students.
Okay.
But really, I think we should start with what are the problems we want to solve. And then find the right technologies to solve them.
Okay.
And AI is a great technology, but I would say if people start with the problem and then they follow that to a solution, that's probably the best thing to do.
Okay.
There's a lot of buzz about AI. If you
Yeah.
just walk around with AI and try to solve problems, you might get in trouble. You might do something that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. There's definitely a lot of classes that still does not allow AI, but it's been interesting since they have passed that kind of rule. I've started to see AI implemented in a lot more of my classes, which seems pretty interesting. So I'm excited to see where that takes us in the future. And I'm sure you are very excited as well. You mentioned a camp.
Yes. So at the DX Hub, one of the things we do is we put on events for the public and for other universities. And so the summer camp is our inaugural AI summer camp.
Right.
This will be open to CSU, Cal State University students.
Okay.
So those of you out there in high school, maybe in a year or two. But we are also looking at doing events for high schools and other school organizations, community colleges. So we would love to hear from some of you if you have interest in this.
Yeah.
And we'll follow up with opportunities as they become available.
Of course. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. So if you guys have any interest in this type of field, I think you guys should definitely apply.
Yeah. Or if you have an interesting problem, dxhub, hub.calpoly.edu, and you can find us there, read about what we've been doing, and also submit any challenges you'd like us to work on.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, moving on from that, what's your take on the Space Grand Challenge and how it fits into the broader cybersecurity education landscape?
All right. Well, I will just start by saying I recognize there's a bit of a generational gap now. I used to be the young guy. I started college when I was very young.
Okay.
But now I'm the old guy in the room. So I would say there's so many great ways to learn now. And I see the Space Grand Challenge as fitting a couple of needs with security. One is security is about creativity.
Right.
Right? It's about thinking differently, thinking outside the box, seeing if you can make
Development.
something. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Make something behave in a way it wasn't designed to. So it's creativity and also curiosity, right? People who are really good at the security stuff, it's often because they dive really deep. They just can't let go. They find a good problem and they want to solve it. And so to me, the Space Grand Challenge brings all those concepts together. It's educational, but it's also fun. And you play it by being curious, by exploring, by thinking a little bit out of the box.
No, I think it's super interesting because I was actually talking to our good friend Charles a little bit earlier, and they gave great insight on how education for younger individuals in kind of cybersecurity and just the internet in general is super important right now because we are growing in a ever digital world, and it's super important that we teach, younger students how to be safe online. And even those who are older, to be honest, we got to be prepared.
Yeah, outside of Cal Poly, I've worked as an expert witness doing forensic analysis, like some of our game players will be doing today. And so oftentimes I'm the one that's called in when something's gone wrong.
Okay.
Right? When somebody's, committed a crime allegedly, or perhaps in fact, or done something, anything that
Exactly.
people can do, any
Something's
misbehavior
accused.
can be
Yeah.
done online as well. And so I've seen a whole range of what can go wrong. So it is very important. But I think the good news is following some basic principles that we're all kind of learning as we go. Learn the principles like privacy. Don't share your data unless you need to. The details will always change. And that to me is another great aspect of the game is every year we update it to bring in new risks, new stories. But learning the principles is key, and then applying those in your everyday life. And we will continue to be a resource to help people understand some of those details, understand best practice, and really be as safe as possible. There's nothing risk-free. The internet is not risk-free, but it's a great resource. And if we use it responsibly, then we can get great use out of it.
That is really, really awesome. Well, aside from that, we could go into what do you wish someone had told you when you were just getting started in tech and cybersecurity?
Yeah.
For our students out there.
Well, so that was many years ago, and most people were not on the internet yet.
Okay.
Right? So when I started, I had a sense of what if all the cool stuff already happened, right? And that sounds so silly to say now, right? 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
All the cool stuff has happened since then, right? But there's this curve in technology. So what I wish somebody had told me is don't feel like you have to focus on just one thing.
Yeah.
In life, in security, in technology, because how you will learn and grow and be successful is following those curiosities that you have.
Yeah.
Right? Pick something that's interesting to you and learn deeply enough that you understand how it really works.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that'll serve you well in your schooling, in cybersecurity education, and in your life. So just be open to opportunities and follow the opportunities when they arise. You won't be able to predict what's going to happen over the next 20 years, right? So just follow the opportunities.
Yeah, innovation is very real. We're always growing. I mean, I think AI kind of proves that. AI has made leaps and bounds. A lot of other technological kind of like jumps the past few years has definitely, grew. I think that, students really shouldn't be afraid to fail as much. I think they should, embrace failure as just, it's part of life.
Yeah.
Learning experiences.
One of we were thinking as we prepare for the summer camp, like, what is an important mindset to bring into working on a project of the type that we work on here? And for us, a lot of it is if it's a project that we're 100% sure we can do, it's probably not a project we should be working on.
Okay.
Right? If it's too easy, we shouldn't be spending time on that.
If the hypothesis, like if we already know the hypothesis is right, why?
Yeah, because we are all about helping prove that something new is possible or feasible or not.
Okay.
Right. And so I would say, really just having that appetite for uncertainty, that, I don't know, the eagerness to fail, but eagerness to try something where you might fail.
Yeah.
And if you're never failing, you're probably not working on really hard, interesting problems.
Yeah. And I think that's super important, especially for college students. I think as we get older, and as a college student myself, we think that only, in a way, like only children are entitled to failure. Like because we're adults, we're not able to make those type of mistakes, because at that point we should know the answers. And I think it's important to kind of breathe a little bit, and this camp can certainly help you kind of hone your skills if you're looking for a field in that area. So.
Yeah. Well, and I would just say we have had a couple hiccups this morning on the game.
Yes.
And to me that is we're sorry if you were affected or if you were frustrated. What does learning feel like? Frustration. But to me, it's gone well because we have a team here, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about, maybe I messed something up, like we are all here as a team to work together to make this game go well. And to me, the success is we have had some things that didn't go perfectly, but the team really quickly came together and huddled and figured out what was going on and came up with a solution. So, I guess the other advice is don't feel like you're alone in this. Find your community. There's a community out there that can help you learn and grow and support you and help you take those risks in a way that you're not failing, you're learning. And you're getting support to do that.
That wants and desires your skills in the future.
Yeah. So that's what we're about here at Cal Poly at the DX Hub at the CCI is, we all take failure together and we learn and move on from that.
Yeah. How do you think competitions like the Space Grand Challenge help prepare the next generation of cyber professionals?
Yeah. There are so many good learning resources out there now. The problem isn't so much finding good resources. It's focusing on ones that are the most relevant for you. And so to me, Space Grand Challenge is special because it fills this niche, right? It is targeted at middle school and high school. It is very technically accurate. We strive to do that, but it's also designed first to be a fun game, right? There's fun games, there's cybersecurity exercises. There's not a lot of things
you got to
try
kind
and
of combine
balance
them.
those.
I see that.
And that's what we really think about a lot is how do we balance those two things? Because we want both of those things. It's got to be fun and you've got to learn. And if you do both of those things together, then we've done our job.
Yeah, you want to make the game super engaging, but you also want to make sure that the students are able to hone their own cybersecurity skills in the process. Hopefully able to kind of like, improve their coding and whatever they're speaking. I think the SGC, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but is unique from other competitions. I don't think there's a lot of competitions like it that are able to kind of offer students, especially of this age group, the opportunity to compete in a scale like virtual world like this.
I feel like it's, we try and make it very friendly to start. There's plenty of hard challenges out there. If you're ready, when you all are ready to move on, there's games that are harder. If you come to Cal Poly, you'll be exposed to many of those opportunities. But I think just making it fun first. Yeah. Learning should be fun. Exactly. I found it in my life.
What's something about your job or career that still makes you geek out or feel excited after all these years?
Yeah. To me, there's two sides of a coin when you're working with computer software. One is I get to build new things that didn't exist, and I get to give them to customers. And they can often tell me, oh, that's exactly what I was hoping for, right? I didn't imagine we could build something that works so well, right? So I get to have that experience of building something and seeing the look on somebody's face when I solved a problem that they really care about. Like I built some software that's going to help make their life better or their, the people they serve in the public sector. And I love that. Yeah. Also in security, we like figuring things out and breaking stuff.
Yes.
How can I take something that I've built or somebody else has and make it behave not in the way it was supposed to, right? How can I find a vulnerability? So some of the most fond memories I have working with teams and with customers is I would be hired to go in and see if I could break something. Like, can you act like an attacker and get into this? And that is a very fun mindset to be in. It's
like
something
test defenses a little bit?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, testing. And so, we, as a security person, many of us are shifting our brains back and forth between building something new and building protective measures, protecting something, but then also putting on the bad guy hat and seeing if you can break something. And they're both very fun. And when you can do both of them together, it's just a great combination.
Yeah. Speaking of the bad guy hat, our friend, if you guys were here, Owen, who is over there working right now, our support staff,
He's not a bad guy.
No, not him. You.
I'm the bad guy.
He was saying you were the bad guy. I was saying that I think it was really interesting that, obviously a lot of cybersecurity developers that you have, or you kind of manage over, which are our support staff back there, have to kind of, basically try to break stuff in order to kind of make the room. They have to think like a hacker. What would the hacker do? What would they leave? And I mentioned Ocean's 8, where they have or any type of Buster movie where they have the hacker, and what I'm imagining is some girl or some guy and they're like, I'm in. And Owen says that you can type really fast. What are your thoughts on that?
Let's see. In 5th grade, my family did not own a computer. Most families didn't have computers when I was growing up. It wasn't as common. And in 6th grade, the summer before 6th grade, we got a computer. I spent the entire summer after 5th grade just learning inside and out that computer and learning to type more quickly. And then in 6th grade, I was the fastest typist in the school district. So I went from 0 to hero in that one summer. And that summer had a big impact on me, right? That just being able to immerse myself in that. And I guess my fingers are just wired in my brain to move the way I think now. So, but really it's experience. Like Owen, has joined us very recently. And some of the features that are core to the game, he built just a couple months ago. So I've been doing this for many decades, right? So the fast fingers are earned through tens of thousands of hours of work. But you all here, you all are moving very quickly. In many cases, I learn from students, right? The students are learning new things and moving so quickly. Again, none of us get to be an expert anymore. It's too complicated. The world's too big now.
Yep.
So I like to teach and help and speed things up. I also like to learn from all of you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, our last question is, what advice would you give students trying to get into cybersecurity?
Trying to get into cybersecurity.
Or
There's
any
so
type of
much
coding
demand.
thing.
I would guess just get used to learning. Figure
Okay.
out how you learn and support yourself. Give yourself opportunities to learn in that way, because you will never be static in cybersecurity. Everything is
Yeah.
always changing.
Always
You
moving.
always want to kind of push ahead. Oftentimes, you're helping people understand something new. So, I guess my advice would be get really good at communicating with people about
Yeah.
risks. People that may not know all the details like you do, right? So get good at explaining things in simple terms that will serve you well throughout life. And really just, find something and see if you can break it. But make sure, I'm going to add to that, make sure you're following the law. Make sure you're practicing
Be
good ethics.
ethical, everyone.
And so what would this look like is, write your own little web app and then see if you can put on the hacker hat and see if you can break the thing that you just built.
Yeah.
That is how a lot of the learning happps.
Perfect. All right. Well, that was a lot of good information. Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining
Thank you so
us
much.
today.
Always a pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a wonderful time. We're going to cut to a short break, but do not leave just yet.